Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I just want to start off the video by saying a big thank you to everyone that actually watched my previous video. It was about Animal Crossing New Horizons. If you haven't watched it, the link will be down below. With this video, I just wanted to really make a review on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is probably in my top 3 favourite games of all time. Now, when I say top 3, my all-time favourite game, as many people probably eye roll at this, is Ocarina of Time, and probably a video will come on that at some point. But I really wanted to highlight Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I think it's one of the best games that Nintendo have released in quite a while, and it's massively underappreciated and underrated, and from a series that many people don't really know exists. Recently we've had the remake, or remaster rather, of Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and it's amazing. So I think mainly the reason why Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is my probably preferred Xenoblade game, even over 1, is because it was my first ever one. I spent probably a grand total of 400 hours playing this game, and I still play it every now and then. So for this review, I will be going into some of the story. I will keep it as spoiler free as I possibly can. From starting Xenoblade Chronicles 2, we're introduced to the land of Ulrest, and it's established that the people live on Titans, and every single one of these Titans is visitable. The basic plot of the game is that the Titans are starting to die, and there's nowhere for the people of Ulrest to live once the last Titan dies. The opening scene shows one floating down towards the Cloud Sea, ending its life. We're introduced to our main protagonist, Rex. He is what's known as a salvager. Rex is enlisted by the group Torna, made up of Malos, Jin and Nia, in order to aid them in an excavation mission to get something of great value to them. As to the player, we don't know what they're looking for. Upon completion of the job, it's revealed that Torna was only using Rex in order for them to gain access to what's known as the Aegis. After Rex accidentally bonds with Pyra, who is then revealed to be the Aegis, he's killed by one of the Tornan members, Jin. However, the Aegis has the power to share her life force with Rex and brings him back, so they escape. It's there, with the help of Nia and Dromak, along with Pyra, Rex travels to the Gormoti capital. It's then the game explains in more detail what the Aegis and in fact blades are. They're explained to be this universe's version of weapons, and the people that wield blades are known as drivers. It's also explained that not everyone in Ulrest is capable of being a driver. This is where the plot really comes to a grinding halt for a few hours. The updated quest now sees Rex wanting to reach the top of the World Tree, also known as Elysium. This is where the people of Ulrest can live, while the Titans die off. Now I won't go into any further greater story details, as I want people to actually experience the game for themselves. It is a slow burner. It took me 20 to 30 hours for the game to actually become something that I couldn't put down. Once you reach that point of a certain character's death, that the game really gets going, and the story is fantastic. I don't think personally that it dampened my experience by not playing 1 before I played 2. Like I said, I'd played hundreds of hours of this game before I even played 1, and it flows so naturally. Even though it's a sequel, it's set in another universe, and it doesn't have the same characters. When it was initially released, the art style of the game put a lot of people off, as it is anime aesthetic, and I have to say, it didn't really put me off. However, there are some parts of the game where it does lean too heavily into the anime tropes. There are certain expressions on the characters' faces that seem out of place, but it doesn't taint the overall experience. So with the graphical style being anime, the game will generally age well. The Titans look incredible. My own personal favourites are Gormott and Uriah. The reason why Uriah and Gormott are my personal favourites is just the sheer aesthetic of the Titans itself. The colour palette is all there. The vibrant grass, the rocks, everything looks fantastic. It really seems like a believable place. Like, you could see it existing. And the world also seems like that as well. It seems like it's a real town. going into Gormott, the capital seems like it's somewhere that you could easily see yourself living. In particular, Oriya, the flora and fauna that you see in the Oriya's belly is breathtaking. Even though the graphics are limited by the art style, it still looks amazing. Monolith Soft really outdid themselves here, and I know that they worked on Breath of the Wild while also working on this game as well. They are just masters of environmental design. The character designs also are just fantastic. However, my only gripe with most of the character designs is that Rex doesn't really look like a protagonist. He looks like he should be the tag-along of the group. Whereas Nia and Zeke and Morag look like they should easily be able to be the protagonist of the game. Where we have characters that look like Pyra and then later Mithra, paired with someone like Rex, it doesn't really make sense, because Rex just looks like everybody else in the world. I mean, I guess that's the whole point, that Rex is just an average person, just chosen by destiny, by the Aegis. However, it just doesn't seem like he should be the protagonist. And it wasn't just one person who designed all of the blades. Several designers were tasked with designing each blade themselves. That's why there's no same designs that you'll see in most of the unique blades. It's because different artists designed these. And I think that was a smart move by Monolith Soft, because it really gives the unique element to Xenoblade. The one thing I think that most people are unanimous on when it comes to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is that the battle system is incredible. It can be very daunting when you're first starting to play, because you have to build up certain chain attacks, certain aggro with certain characters. Not every character works exactly the same way. However, my biggest gripe with the combat system in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is that you can't attack while you're moving, unlike in Xenoblade Chronicles 1. This was the only criticism I could actually find from other people in regards to the combat system. Other than that, people actually really enjoyed it. The game does offer a pretty decent challenge. It's as difficult as you can make it. If you don't understand the battle mechanics or don't bother actually to read the tutorials, you are going to really struggle. It's also really worth pointing out that the game doesn't force you to stick with playing as Rex and Pyra. If you want to play as Nia, you can play as Nia. If you want to play as Tora, you can play as Tora. Okay, so moving on to probably the most controversial part of the game itself, the dub. Now, a lot of people hate on the dub, and I personally think that it's an overreaction. There are some lines which are really poorly acted. My only problem with the dub itself is that the actor that plays Rex doesn't really portray enough emotion when he's yelling or supposed to be crying. It sounds very forced and very amateur. Whereas the other characters like Nia, Morag and Zeke, they all have pretty much fantastic performances throughout. While the game may have a controversial moment with the voice cast and the voice dub, the music in this game is phenomenal. It's probably one of the strongest soundtracks of a game I've ever heard. Gormott Plain soundtrack is easily one of my favourite location soundtracks. Not only that, but the battle music, the regular battle and the boss battle music are spectacular. The composers really put in top-notch work with this particular game. It's rare for me to have an emotional response to an ending of a video game, but Xenoblade Chronicles is one of those rare games that actually really elicited that emotion from me. It was a satisfying ending and didn't leave me questioning what happens next, because we already knew what happened next. It was a very nicely executed finale. If you're a fan of JRPGs and you've still not played this game, then there's nothing really holding you back. So I really just want to wrap up by saying that yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has its flaws, and some people might not be able to get over the art style, but I think it's a game and experience that some people should really give a chance. I mean, it was a success in its own right. It's sold over 1 million copies. However, I don't think that it's been given a fair shot. I don't remember seeing much advertising for this game. Like most Xenoblade games, they just get pushed to the bottom of the barrel. And I think that's really unfair to this series. if you haven't already played either 1 or 2, pick them both up. I really hope that by watching this video I've really explained myself of why I think people should give this game and franchise a chance. And if I have, and if I've convinced you, then that's great. But if you're still not convinced, I don't know what will. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I really enjoyed making this one. I might do another review. What games would you like me to review? What would you like to talk about? Let me know down below. Please consider subscribing and leaving a like and maybe a comment. All feedback is welcome, even negative. That's how I grow my content and my channel. So thank you very much. Bye bye.